some soul searching as a program after the last game? Just how did that go, and do you feel like that process is ongoing, or?
My soul is cleansed. Yeah, no, it was a lot of soul searching. Yeah, I mean, you look at everything. Obviously, really disappointing in where we are, and I mean, it's just, truly, you look at everything when things aren't going, well, and I mean, the reality of it is, it's never too far away from one side or the other. You're not that far away from being on the right side of things, but when you're on the wrong side of things, everything stinks, right? And everything is magnified, and that's kind of where we are. And nobody wants to hear, well, a couple plays here, a couple plays there, and we are what we are. And this is a, but from a big picture standpoint, I mean, I mean, it's just been a coaching failure, honestly. I mean, that's the best way I can say it. I mean, we have just failed as coaches. I mean, I'm not taking accountability away from the players. I mean, they got accountability in this too. I mean, you got some guys that got to play better. I mean, they're not just on scholarship anymore. I mean, some of these guys are paid a lot of money to perform, and everybody's got accountability. But I mean, it's just an absolute coaching failure. That's just, I don't know other way to say it. And I'm not pointing a finger, I'm pointing a thumb. I mean, it starts with me, because I hire everybody and I empower everybody and equip everybody. And when players don't play to their potential, to me, that's coaches. That's on us. Like when you have when you don't, because our problems really are football stuff. I mean, big picture, our program is great. Our program is built right. Our program has never been better. When you talk about a program, I mean, to me, it does two things. One, your program should drive consistency, and your program should, whatever your purpose is, your program should fulfill that. Everybody has their, like, this is what we're about. And so as you holistically build a program, then does it get the job done? Well, the number one thing is consistency. Well, obviously, we've had 14 great years here in a row. And some people may say, well, how do you say it? Well, we've had 14 great years. We've had some bad moments. We've had some elite years. But we've had 14 great years. 13 of those 10-plus win seasons. 14 great years, 11 championships. And I'm not talking about 14 years ago. I'm talking about as recent as last year. But 11 championships in 14 years. 9 conference titles, 2 national championships, and played for 2 more national championships, and played for another conference title. So the program is driving consistency. That's what the program is doing. That's what it's set up to do. Consistency in everything. And then when you talk about fulfilling the purpose and the program doing that, well, it's doing that. The number one thing in our purpose is graduation, and we lead the nation in that. The second thing is equipping them as men, using, our program to build great men. And we have that in place. We have a bunch of great young people that have been equipped through the program here. But also part of the program is winning championships. That's a part of the program too. And, we've done that. I mean, every signing class in 17 years here has won a championship, except for this year's freshman. Every coordinator that's ever worked here has won a championship, except for Tom Allen. So the program is doing its part. It's built right, organizationally, structurally, processes, procedures, like that stuff. We're in a really good spot. Probably never been better. But from a team standpoint this year, like, this is a football coaching failure. That's what it is. And it's football stuff. It's not program. It's football stuff. And that, to me, when you have guys that don't play like they're capable of playing, that is a reflection of us as coaches. And again, I'm not excusing the player from it. They got accountability too, but our job, your job as a coach, is to get your guys to play to their potential, and we have failed in that. Just that simple. And so that's why we are where we are, and we haven't gotten it done as coaches. And that starts with me, but it's football stuff. It's not like it's blocking. It's getting off blocks. It's making the critical play at the critical time. It's routine plays. It's routine decision making. It's that stuff, and all of that stuff we can fix. So the good news is we can coach and we can play our way out of it. But we got to be better. It's just, and that's the frustrating thing.
All right, welcome to Believing Clemson Football. Sorry for the slow editing there. So my apologies to everyone there as Alex Dodd, as you can see, is not here. So we brought somebody in to not have a beard, to look a whole lot more pretty than we do. And I brought in our sidekick, Ashby Mixon from the Clemson Insider, who is one of our writers, does such a great job. You guys need to check her out if you haven't. She's really good at what she does. Ashby, give out your Twitter account, or your X account, excuse me, so people can follow you on X.
I like it. Hey, Will, thank you so much for having me on. My Twitter account has recently had a boom of about 10 followers, but it's at Ashby Mixon, and I love getting to work for the Clemson Insider and put my stuff up on there.
Well, let's get that up, but let's get 100 for Ashby tonight, guys. Okay, y'all go on over to X and give Ashby a follow. But Ashby is with us, so welcome to Believe in Clemson Football, presented by FanDuel. We appreciate you guys joining. I'm Will Vandervort. Obviously, that's Ashby Mixon. As we come in from what Dabo Swinney, I know that was a long intro, but I wanted to get everything he said in, guys, because I thought Dabo said some good things in that 5-minute intro, and I know I've already got a couple comments in, and please throw some more in, guys. I want you to fill up my inbox tonight, okay? So we can, as much as you want, whatever you want to say, as long as it's within reason. No cursing or anything like that. I'm not going to put that up. But, but I already got a couple in there already. And, some agree with what Dabo's saying. Some are not. But Ashby, I thought he took full blame right off the bat and said it's on the coaches. And he says, I point the thumb at me too, because they're 1-3 and nobody's happy. And it sounds like neither is anybody in that football building.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought it was really interesting that he addressed that and came out and said it's on us as coaches in his opening statement. Before any questions were asked, questions about blame or talking about specific players or coaches, he went out and said, you know what, I'm pointing the thumb. And I think that was kind of the tone that he took for the whole press conference for the most part was, at the end of the day, it falls back on us. We have to be better. So I thought that was really interesting that he kind of approached it with that before anybody said anything.
Yeah, so you can see we're going to talk a lot about Dabo Swinney's press conference today. We're also going to, believe it or not, talk a little bit about a guy named Bill Belichick and this game against North Carolina. That's obviously important as well. And, of course, we'll have our Pick 6 segment in at the end. Ashby's going to join us for that and give her 6 picks. And Alex will be back next week. By the way, he is out with his wife, Rachel, for her birthday. So, Rachel, happy birthday. We hope you have a good one. So I told Alex he was worried about having to work tonight. I said, dude, take your wife out for your birthday. I'm not that important. The Believe Clemson podcast is not that important. Take your wife out for your birthday.
Happy birthday, Rachel. We hope you have a great night. We hope that you're not sitting watching the Believe in Clemson podcast on your birthday. But if you are, happy birthday from us.
Absolutely. Alex, you better not have her watching it. You better not. But Ashby, Alex did tell me to tell you that he appreciates you filling in for him tonight.
Of course.
So, listen, we got a big show. But as always, before we get started on anything, we got to talk about our sponsors. And as you can see, there's already one scrolling across the bottom. Excuse me, that is not one of ours. Here we go. See, Alex is used to doing this stuff, not me, Ashby. This is part of what happens when I'm doing it myself. But anyway, we're sponsored by the Clemson Insider, the most complete coverage of Clemson athletics and recruiting. Go on over to the ClemsonInsider.com today. Go see what it's like. It's free. You're going to find my stories. You're going to find Ashby's stories on there. Jason Priester does recruiting better than anybody in the business. So go on over and check us out at the ClemsonInsider.com. You can find us on Facebook at Clemson Insider, as well as on X at the Clemson Insider. And also you can find us on Instagram or obviously YouTube. You're finding us here now doing the show. All kinds of different ways to find us and follow us and get the latest information on Clemson athletics. So that's the Clemson Insider, the most complete coverage of Clemson athletics and recruiting. And now let's see if I don't mess this one up, Ashby. I hope not, because this is one of our main sponsors too, and I want to make sure I get it right. But anyway, Ashby, you asked me about it. You said, when is this place opening, right?
I did.
Yeah, so it's the all-new Smoke on the Water, which will be located at 64 Beacon Drive. That's on Restaurant Row off of Pelham Road in Greenville, South Carolina. Smoke on the Water will open its new location, Ashby, by early November. So that means like somewhere in the first week of November. They haven't got an exact date yet. They will let me know when it's available, but I can tell you this much. The all-new Smoke on the Water will feature the same famous smoked meats it had before when it was in downtown Greenville. They'll have the pulled pork, the brisket, the beer butt chicken, and the prime rib. But a few new things also will appear, I'm having bad trouble tonight, appear on the menu as well. Also, its signature 5 barbecue sauces will be there to complement, not smother, any of its smoked meats. So like before, the all-new Smoke on the Water will have Greenville's best happy hour. It will still feature live acoustic acts as well, which if you remember in the past, Ashby, that's what they always had, good music downtown, and it was always really nice when you're waiting on a long wait or something to sit and listen to some music. So they're going to have that as well for you. Smoke on the Water is owned by Mike Schuler. He was a staple in downtown Greenville for 18 years there before being forced on by the previous location by its new landlords. So right now, the all-new Smoke on the Water is available for catering. So Ashby, if you want to maybe cater the tailgate party you're having this weekend for the game or something, you could do that. They do have their food truck. So for more information on those things, call 864-232-9091. Again, the all-new Smoke on the Water at 64 Beacon Drive, just off Restaurant Row on Pelham Road. Again, that's 864-232-9091 for more information. So, Ashby, does that make you hungry?
Will, oh my goodness. I was thinking that while you were saying it, talking about 5 different barbecue sauces.
and Ashby's from Alabama, guys, so she knows her barbecue and she loves food. Actually started a story on barbecue, which I loved. So if you like barbecue, reach out to Ashby. She can tell you the different barbecues. But man, I tell you what, every time I read that ad, I get hungry because I don't eat till after I get done doing this podcast, and I'm starving.
Maybe you need to cater the all new Smoke on the Water to your house just afterwards. Just have it ready to go. You know.
Yeah. There you go, Mike Sturge. You hear that, right? So maybe I like this, Ashby. I like it. So hey, Ashby, you just got one new follower. Tiger Stripes Media says he's followed you, so very good.
Thank you.
For you guys out there listening on whether it's on Facebook, on X, or on YouTube here, Ashby, you can follow Ashby at Ashby Mixon on X. And we're trying to get her followers up. So, y'all go do that. She writes for us. She does a great job writing. You want to read her stuff. She's one of the more talented young writers in her business. She hates when I brag on her, but I'm telling the truth. You will really love her stuff. She knows her stuff too. She knows football as well as anybody you're going to find. She knows baseball as well as anybody. And she loves basketball and knows it as well as anybody.
There it is. I was like, Will.
Don't you worry. I was going there. So y'all go give her a follow, and trust me, you'll love the content she puts out as well. And follow us at Clemson Insider if you haven't. But I'm sure if you're here, you probably already are. So I appreciate you guys nonetheless. Ashby, let's get back to it though. Dabo Swinney, his press conference today. Give me your first thoughts from the presser and what you kind of got out of it.
Yeah, I definitely thought, kind of as I was talking about before, there was a lot of talk about, yes, we have to be better. I thought it was hilarious that he started the whole thing by saying, yes, my soul is cleansed after my soul searching. I thought that was really funny, but it sounds like there was a lot of soul searching that went down. We heard last week that there was a players only meeting with Coach Swinney where pretty much anything was on the table to say. We heard a little bit more about kind of the leadership from some of those guys. He pointed out people specifically that he thought had been leaders, which I think was interesting to hear. He said that Cade Klubnik, Antonio Williams, a few of these other guys had really stepped up. He kind of noted that Antonio and him, like, they didn't necessarily get along at first, which I thought was interesting, but talked about his growth. Definitely everybody can agree that it was a good thing to see Antonio healthy last weekend. And yeah, I think you saw him looking to move forward, looking ahead to UNC to get a win. He said, we need this win more than Bill Belichick even. So that was definitely interesting to watch them kind of turn the page, look forward, and try to get on the right foot with a win over North Carolina.
I wonder if Bill Belichick feels the same way. I wonder if he says, we need this win more than Dabo Swinney needs this win.
Well, that was the thing I was thinking too. I was like, it kind of seems like they need a win also, but let them have it.
Well, no, let Clemson have it, right?
Exactly.
We don't want North Carolina having it.
Let Dabo have it.
Yeah, let's. When you learn, Ashby, when you're on these podcasts and stuff, when you say something, you got to make sure. It's not like in writing where we can backspace and go back and fix it or put in parentheses.
Let Dabo have it. There we go.
Yeah. So the first comment I want to kind of get up here is Scott. On Facebook says, big debate these days, chicken and the egg sort of deal. Is it the coaches? Is it the players not playing well? Or is it a perfect storm or both? Scott, that's a great question, man. If you've listened to me on any other platforms that I've been on, whether radio hits or whether you've read my columns on the Clemson Insider, I have been blasting this team the last week or so. I mean, I'm going to be honest. And listen, I don't think right now, I know some people are out there and this is ridiculous, and we'll start this up first. Okay. Anybody that says fire Dabo Swinney, just stop. Okay. You stop. You don't know. You're not firing Dabo Swinney. The guy's won 2 national championships. He's won 181 games. He's one of the best college coaches of all time. He is. He's one of the greatest coaches of all time. You're not firing that guy. Okay. And so that's the first thing. Like, let's don't go there. Okay. Now, if you want to start talking about position coaches and things like that, yeah, we'll listen and we'll debate and be happy to talk about it. And that's where I kind of am at, right? And I put out there, look, you're not doing anything to Dabo Swinney. He's deserved the right to figure this out and get it fixed. And he will. There's no doubt in my mind, Dabo will get this fixed. The thing that I got him on blast with this team, and that's what we're talking about right now, is this team, not the future, but this team. And Dabo said it today, well, it's on the coaches. And I don't disagree, because when you have a team that's this talented, there has to be something there's somewhere where the spark is not hitting. And so you got to go all the way back, and it starts with coaching. And so as Dabo says, he says, we failed them. We failed as coaches because basically he didn't have them prepared for success in the games. That is coaching. Now, are the players to be held accountable? You heard Dabo Swinney there. Of course they are. They got some accountability too. But as Dabo says, all these things are correctable. Well, how do you correct them? Well, you start with coaching. You go and make sure that you're getting the basic stuff done. Like, when the quarterback, when they call a read play, the right tackle understands he's not supposed to take the read guy. That's the quarterbacks. Just simple stuff like that happens and I don't know if that's on the quarterback and I don't know if there's miscommunication. Somewhere it's happened. So that's the first thing with that. And so, yes, the players are held accountable, but I'm with Dabo 100%. The coaches are the problem at the start of the problem, and that's where you go to try to fix things.
Will, to a degree, I do agree with you for a large percent of it. However,
come at me, girl. Give it back.
Here's where I am going to push back on you just a little bit.
Okay, go ahead. All right.
I want to talk about a Matt Luke. I want to talk about some of these position coaches that have had so much success in their career. Matt Luke, you talk about how he turned around that unit, the offensive line unit, in his first year at Clemson, right? I said this the other day, and I got a lot of hate for it, but I don't think he just forgot how to coach. I really don't. And I don't think anything that they're doing is necessarily very different with guys that are the same for the most part. And so to a degree, yes, I totally think a lot of it's on the coaches. I think that some of the play calling stuff is there. Absolutely. But to a degree, Dabo mentioned, there's been a couple third down drops that would have gone for a first down plus a bunch of yards. Mm-hmm. You can't make a guy catch the ball in that situation. Maybe that's coaching, maybe that's hitting the jugs machine, but you can't tell me they haven't already been doing that and they haven't done that. So, yes, coaches can put guys in better situations to play better. However, I do think a lot of it is on the players actually making plays. And you heard some guys say that today too. Our coaches put us in good positions. We just got to go make the play.
Yeah, that's true. I don't have any problem with that argument. However, when you're seeing basic things on the offensive line not get done, well, I can't just say, yeah, the player did it, but why? What was missed in practice that caused him to make that mistake? Or in that moment, did you not get enough reps in for what he's supposed to look for in that moment? Right? So I see both sides of the argument. I lean more to what Coach Swinney's saying, though, that, if we're going to get this thing better, we got to fix it, and so if that means we go back to the basics and we simplify things, that's what we do. And I think that's what you're going to see this week from Clemson. I think you're going to see a very basic way they do things and how they attack North Carolina. And I'll be honest, Ashby, it's not a bad week to do that. I mean, because I don't know how good this North Carolina team is, to be honest with you. They haven't shown me anything that they are good defensively or offensively. And so by playing the basics and just doing your job, if you will, might turn out to be the best thing for them. And then let's get a little momentum going, just a little confidence going. And Garrett Riley feels good about his quarterback. He feels good about his wide receivers and his offensive line. Maybe throws in a little wrinkle or two. But let's get something going positively first, right? And I think that's what Dabo's kind of stressing to his coaches. Like, if we check the boxes on the little things, then we'll probably play better.
Yes.
Just on that.
Absolutely. And at the beginning of the season, a big thing that was talked about was making the layups, right? And I think you've missed a lot of layups if you're Clemson this season. A lot of easy passes, easy reads, like you're talking about with the offensive line, some miscommunication. I think if you feel better about those things, then it allows for bigger plays, turnovers, all this kind of stuff in a game. But you got to feel good about your layups and your easy passes and your easy plays. And I agree with you, Will. I think this is a really good week to try to kind of work some of those out against the North Carolina defense that I don't think is very good.
I think you got an opportunity here to really, take advantage of this team, right? And use that as a positive. Now, we'll see if the Tigers do that. That's been my problem, is that they're like, everybody asks me, what do you think they're going to do? And I'm like, well, they haven't shown me anything.
Right.
So I don't think they're going to do anything. I mean, we were talking about that today when we were doing the videos for the website. I don't know what to expect for this team. When they go out there, can they be what they were a year ago? Absolutely. I think they can be, because you just don't lose talent. It's there. They're talented. But then I see what they've done, and I'm like, well, this is what I've seen. And as Dabo said, this is who they are. They're a 1-3 football team. He said it today. They're not a good football team. It's amazing how 1 month went from they were a really good football team to, they're not a good football team. That's from the coach's mouth in 1 month.
Longest month of my life, it feels like. And longest month of the Clemson Tigers' life, potentially. But, I still believe that this, on paper, when you look at a 1-3 team versus a North Carolina 2-2 team, I think Clemson's the better team despite their record, despite what's happened. On paper, they should go out and give North Carolina a clear win. However, games aren't played on paper. We've said this before in past games. We'll have to see.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Got another question right here I want to get in here, Ashby. This is Tiger Strikes Media, who said that he just gave you a follow, so we appreciate that. Question for you, Will or Ashby. If K does not play well in the game in the first half, could there be a QB change? I'll let you go on this one first.
Coach Swinney's been asked about this quite a few times in the last few weeks, and he essentially has said, no, we haven't even thought about that. We trust Cade. We have full confidence in Cade, which then has brought up the question of, do you have confidence in Christopher Vizina, who's the backup quarterback as of now? And his answer has been yes, absolutely, but Cade is our guy right now. But I think the key words right there are right now, which is what he said I think last week on his radio show. this is just me talking and speculating, but I really believe that if Cade struggles against North Carolina, you got to give Christopher Vizina a chance to see what you have in him, at least for next season, and to try to change something up. I think it would be very possible to see him, but right now they said they feel confident in Cade at this point.
Yeah, and that's what is the $100 million question for me. Okay, well, why hasn't he done it already? Because he's had opportunities to put him in. So it tells me that CV's not ready. That's what it tells me. And then my question is, okay, why isn't a third-year guy ready? Right? So then the journalist in me says, okay, well, then is that a coaching problem? Because that means he's not progressing as a player, which to me goes directly onto the coaching. So you see what all this goes to. It's that, they get that small snowball on the hill and you throw it down there and it just starts rolling. So, but that's what it's telling me so far, Ashby, by they're not putting him out there. It tells me he's not ready. And then that opens up all those other questions for me.
Yes, I think that begs those questions. I think it also could be a sign of, Dabo Swinney's loyalty to veteran players and a guy like Cade that has stayed at Clemson for his entire career, which I think is a very rare thing in today's day and age. And yes, at the end of the day, you would like to see another quarterback get a chance potentially with how he's played, but I can also see that truly being a big reason why he's continued to give Cade opportunities. And you look at last season, like there's a big chance that I think probably in the coach's mind that at any point he's going to be that guy that you've seen. So I understand why it feels that way, but I think that could also be another side of it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Very good point. By the way, if you guys want to comment and ask questions, please throw them in the comment section. I'll keep bringing them up as we go through. If I miss you, I apologize. It's not intentional. I'm doing this on my own tonight, as I don't have my boy Alex rolling through it for me. Usually Alex just lets me run my mouth and then he finds the questions for me, Ashby. And so tonight I have to try to do this on my own. I admit I'm not as good as Jason Priester at doing this, and he's much better at scrolling through the comments and finding the questions to throw out. I will do my best, though, but if I miss you, I apologize. We do have a couple questions, though, here that are good if I can figure out how to get to it. Here's another thing. I can't use my mouse when I'm doing the show.
Oh, Will.
And so I have to do this by hand, basically. So apologize. The mouse will not work at the same time I'm using my microphone because I got to have my microphone. So it really sucks. Because I have a what do you call that? A mouse that's
Bluetooth mouse?
Yeah, I got a Bluetooth mouse. Yes,
Will,
exactly.
You're a one-man band out here. We appreciate you. We really do. I feel really like I wish I could help. I really do.
I know, but you're the guest. You're not supposed to help. You're supposed to help me answer questions and talk. So I appreciate you doing it. So I do have one here. So see, that's why I got to remember to throw it up. Here's a question from Scott on Facebook. Heard the wide receivers and DBs worked extra hard on the perimeter in practice. We showed both poor blocks by the receivers and poor tackling. Seems like practice hasn't helped either group get things right in the games. Man, you're telling the truth there, buddy. It's going to be – listen, nobody has been more critical on the softness of the wide receivers. Today we had a player that was being interviewed, and he said, well, you're having such a good season. And I looked over like on a defensive back was being interviewed, and I'm like, are they? Are they having a good season, Ashby? Are they having a good season at defensive back, cornerback especially?
That particular player, I would say yes. But I understand why
sort of, but I'll go back to that in a second. Go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead.
No, I agree with you. I think that definitely has been an issue. I think it's kind of a little bit hard to evaluate with some of those guys sometimes, because you have stats that you're filling up in a lot of places, lots of pass breakups, couple forced fumbles, but at the same time, it's like, all right, it's these little things like that don't necessarily make a stack that end up hurting your team.
Yeah. So here's my thought on it. I love defense, right? You know that. I'm all about. I'll take a sack and a strip sack and just somebody getting the snot knocked out of them over a touchdown every day of the week. And I know touchdowns are how you win the game and stuff, but I'm just like, you know what? It's still not as exciting to me as a guy just getting blown up. Nothing's more exciting to me than that.
Can we clip that?
Yeah, you can. With that said, I don't like seeing Clemson get blown up like they're getting blown up, right? I mean, their cornerbacks are just getting lit up, like they're falling on their backs. I mean, it's just they're and they can't, like, you knew the Syracuse game when you looked at there and saw those big Syracuse wide receivers. You're like, yeah, it's not going to go well. Yeah, you just knew they just weren't going to be physical enough to handle them, and they weren't. And that's something they got to get stronger. That's why Dabo pointed that out. Like he said it a few weeks ago. We're soft on the perimeter. He called them soft. I mean, when your head coach calls you soft, he didn't say names. He just said we're soft on the perimeters. Well, he's talking about the cornerbacks.
Right. Who's on the perimeters? I feel like it's a 1+1 situation. Yes.
Yeah. So, you do the math. That's who he's talking about. And it's like, and he's not wrong. When I watch him, and as Scott just pointed out, you see him just not doing what they're supposed to. And then let's flip it over to the other side. I think the running backs are plenty physical when they want to be. I mean, the wide receivers, are plenty physical when they want to be. They just not always doing it. They take plays off. And I think I'm more concerned about the physicality on the defensive side, Ashby. I'm not concerned about that on the offensive side. I'm just concerned about the lack of effort on the offensive side. So there's two different problems. Does that make sense?
So you're saying on the defensive side, it's a physical issue. On the offensive side, it's more of like an effort mental issue.
Right. Which you can fix on the offensive side.
So talking about the defensive side, how do you get your guys stronger and more physical, like in the course of a season?
You can't. Unless you take players out. Like, so a guy who should be stronger and physical is, I think you put a Jaden Lucas in over Ashton Hampton. I think that's one way you fix one side, because I do think Jay Luke has that ability. Then it comes to whether he should be more physical. Now, I know sometimes he hasn't looked it, but he should be more physical than Ashton Hampton. He's been in the program a year longer. He is bigger. He is stronger. He shouldn't have any problems. So that's one change I would make there. And who knows, maybe we'll see that this week. I don't know. I don't think you take Terrell out because he's too valuable and everything else he does. So you don't take him out, but you got to figure a way to counter what teams doing. And what teams are doing, if you watch, they're putting the big physical receivers where Avion Terrell is supposed to play. So how do you fix that, Ashby? Well, you do what Clemson did some of. You move him to the nickel position. You have him guarding. You have him move around where he's not on one side of the field playing either the field or the boundary. You mix him up a little bit. That way teams just can't say, oh, there's number 8. Let's go ahead and pick on him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's how you fix that part. Because Avion Terrell, good kid, good ball player, great defensive back skills as a cornerback. But you can't at this point in the season, you can't fix strong.
Right.
You're too far in right now. So you got to work. You got to scheme it as a coach. And so that way, Tom Allen and Coach Reed, Mike Reed, are going to have to figure a way to scheme it and get him in position. Like you said, we're seeing some of it by putting him at the small tiger position. So we'll see if that's what they do later on. All right, Ashby, we knew we were going to get some of these. This is from Nick on Facebook. How about Garrett Riley? He has done nothing since he's been there.
Their frustration, to be honest with you. I understand you look at Clemson's offense the year before Garrett Riley got there. You look at Clemson's offense now. There's a lot of things that look similar, and a lot of the same frustrations I had as a freshman in college. I'm a senior now. They feel the same. It feels like I've had, the same issues with this unit and this group for a few years now. So I understand that. I don't necessarily think that it's all on Garrett Riley necessarily. I think a lot of it, the play calling stuff, maybe it is. I actually would like to see maybe Coach Swinney get more involved there. I don't know at this point. Mm-hmm. But I do see the frustrations because it has felt like there was growth and now there's been regression again. And I think that is confusing to everyone. And that's not just a Garrett Riley issue, that's across the whole team. And I don't know. It feels like as a play caller, he set up some really good things and they haven't happened, right? Coach Swinney said that today. Like, he's put guys in good situations, but when things aren't working, you have to be able to adapt. And I don't think we've seen a lot of adapting from Garrett Riley or from his players over these first 4 games.
And it's interesting because I wrote a story on the Clemson Insider. It's either up now or it'll be up later. But it's about accountability for the coaches. Dabo talked about that today. He was asked, okay, you're not going to make any changes. Excuse me on that. You're not going to make any changes, but how are you going to hold guys accountable? And Dabo kind of went through. He's like, well, you let the season play out. And, we go from there and we see how things are going. And so, as I said on an earlier show, I was on a radio show earlier this afternoon, and I said, they asked me, like, will Clemson make any in-season changes? I'm like, no. Dabo's not he didn't do that with Wes Goodwin last year. No. I don't think he does that this year because he's been there before. Dabo was on the staff in 2008. Remember? That's when he became the head coach. And so, like, he saw what that did to his coaching staff, how guys were like, they didn't know what their future was. And so they had their mind on other things. And so they were, concerned about that. It was hard. It makes things hard in that room to get those coaches all on the same page when they're worried about their livelihood and what next year holds for them, what the future holds for them. And that's human. That's understandable. They got to worry about their families and things. So I think Dabo is kind of saying, I like to take that pressure off of them and say, hey, look, we're here for the whole year. You got a job with me. And so that way you can focus on, if things aren't going good, to get better. Now, when they say Garrett Riley has done nothing since he's been here, that's wrong. Clemson was number 10 in the country in total offense last year. They were top 15 in scoring offense last year.
Yes.
Nationally, okay? So that's a lot of good. Cade Klubnik last year ranked 2nd in the country in total touchdowns with 43 touchdowns. He only had 6 turnovers.
Yep.
He had 4,100 yards. The numbers Cade Klubnik put up were almost the same as Deshaun Watson put up in 2016 and won the national championship with fewer interceptions. Okay? So Garrett Riley has done some good things. To say he's done nothing is wrong. What Garrett Riley's had to do is, because his offense is shooting itself in the foot, his quarterback has the yips, he's having to scale it back. Yeah. And I know the fans don't like that, but that's what he has to do because these guys aren't getting it. You got tight ends going in motion when they're not supposed to and bringing an extra guy into the box who tackles the running back. That's not on Garrett Riley. He's not doing that. He's probably sitting there like, what in the world are these guys doing? And so, yeah, it has to be, right? And so, and these are the same guys who were doing great last year. So it's not like Dabo said that today. So we got the same players. Now, granted, I said earlier, Dabo said, hey, it starts with the coaches. They got to fix it out. And that's what Dabo means. Like, we got to simplify things. Basically, it's what he's meaning. Because for some reason, it's just not hitting right now. That spark is not hitting. And so to say Garrett Riley hasn't done anything, that's not right. And so I do believe he gets a year to prove he can get this thing turned around on an offensive standpoint. And once if his quarterback just plays with the confidence that he played with last year, I think it fixes a lot of problems.
Oh, absolutely. And here's the thing. Anytime you're looking at a team that was, preseason number 4, supposed national championship contender, supposed Heisman candidate, and you start off 1-3, there's going to be a lot of blame to go around.
And
right?
there is. There is.
And I think that's what people
pick a position
is. Listen, some people are putting this all on Dabo Swinney. Some people are bringing out the old rhetoric if he doesn't use the portal, which is a whole nother issue. People are talking about the players, the coaches, Garrett Riley. And I think the best answer is that it's everywhere, because somewhere there's a disconnect between a team that was top 10 in the country in offense, a quarterback that was number 2 in the country, to now be what we're seeing. Is some of that on Garrett Riley? Probably. Is some of that on other people? For sure. And I think when you look at an offense, it's really easy to just put it on the offensive coordinator like you did with, Streeter a few years ago, whatever. That's not the only issue, and I don't think it ever will be, but it is definitely one.
Absolutely, it was. And I appreciate you guys talking about ice cream and cheesecake on here, but we're
Ooh.
hungry, and we really kind of like
Delicious.
scale that back a little bit. Let's see. Let's see if I got to make sure I read everything. Okay, it's fine. Greg Murray on Facebook says, I was so jacked up about the defensive coordinator hire. Thought we would be tackling machines. That's what we thought, right? And so I listened, Greg, you're hitting it, man. I was jacked up too, dude. I was ready to roll. Let's go. I thought the defense with Tom Allen, you heard every day in practice, we're going to be the best tackling team in America. And they were doing all these Madden drills that they still do, I think, doing these Madden drills and, all these different kind of tackling drills that they were doing. They call it the Madden drills. That's why I was saying that. And, it's all good and all, but in the games, we ain't seen it, Ashby. I've seen Wade Woodaz on his back more than I've seen him knocking the other guy on his back. What are your thoughts?
Watching the LSU game, I really thought to myself, okay, I can see it. I can see that this could be the best tackling team in America. I feel good about that. Maybe.
Except for that first play of the game.
Except for the 24-yard rushing play to start the game? Sure.
On a missed tackle.
Okay, outside of that, they ended up getting a stop drive, right?
They did, yeah.
So I watched the LSU game. I'm thinking, yeah, I can see it. And it's felt like there's been a regression in every single game since.
Mm-hmm.
And when you've heard players talk about it, they've said, yeah, I think we're pressing. We're all trying to make a big play instead of doing the next right thing, doing what's right in front of us. And I think you've seen that cost this team a lot of the fundamentals that are necessary to tackle, to get stops, to not give up, 3rd and 10s in situations like that. I think that's it's been frustrating to watch for sure.
Yeah. The tackling has been awful the last 2 games.
Really
I'm just going to throw it out there. The first 2 games, it was pretty good. It wasn't great, but it was pretty good. It's been bad the last 2 games, and that's just no better way to describe it. I mean, as I mentioned, there's a picture that Bart Boatwright, our great photographer at Clemson Insider, takes, literally where Wade Woodaz is laying on his back, reaching up, trying to tackle the running back.
Things you never want to see.
Yeah, it's things I'm sure Wade and his family does not want to see that picture. It's not what you want your linebacker doing. And that's a perfect example, though, of how bad it's been the last couple of weeks in trying to tackle these guys. And it started the Georgia Tech game where several times they had Haynes King wrapped up, had him for a stop, and he wasn't going to get a first down. He wouldn't even get a yard. And then somehow he is Haynes King, and he did what he does, breaks a tackle, scoots out for about 4 or 5 yards, and on with the next play. And they run him 70 times in the game. That's how it started. Then last week against Syracuse, it just – what bugged me about that game was how they just didn't seem like they cared.
Mm-hmm.
That's what bugged me about that game. It's just defensively, they came out and they just were just they got punched right in the face by Syracuse and they never responded.
Yeah.
That's what's disconcerting to me.
Let me tell you, I think there's going to be some Clemson defensive players that are going to wake up when they're 35 in a cold sweat thinking about Haynes King. Oh, my goodness.
I think everybody who goes against him does that.
I completely agree. I think there's cold sweats all across America just waiting to play Haynes King and after. It's how it feels at this point, at least if you're a Clemson fan. And I agree with you. I think that was a tough, hard-fought, disappointing loss, right? Really close. You're coming off of a comeback win from Troy, a tough loss to LSU. And then I really thought during the Syracuse game, I was expecting high energy and turn this around and a get-right game. And then you immediately get punched. I think you said it best. Just right hook on the first drive.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're down 10-0 before the offense even has a chance. An offense that, mind you, has been struggling. So I think a lot of that, I agree with you, was effort. And I don't just say that. I say that because Coach Swinney said, hey, guys, get ready for this surprise onside kick. And then guess what? No one was ready. That's concentration, that's mental errors, and I think there were a lot of those that led to Syracuse, who hadn't run the ball all season, running right down their throat.
Yeah, it was very, as I said earlier, disconcerting just to see the defense just get manhandled like that. Nothing. Levon would say this on this show all the time, right? He would say, and he'd be sitting right there where you are at Ashby, and he would say, as a former linebacker, he says, when a team is just running the ball down your throat and you can't stop it, he says it takes away your manhood. He says that's how you feel. He's like, it is the most humbling experience, and it's just like you just want it to end. That's all you want. You want to see 0-0s on the clock and get in the locker room and just say and just be done with it and say, okay, it was a bad day at the office. He says it takes away your manhood, and that's what it does. And you saw that in that first half. Syracuse, it wasn't they were throwing the ball everywhere. No, they were just running it down Clemson's throat, which I didn't see coming. I don't think anybody did.
And I think that's why it happened.
Yeah, because Clemson, even Georgia Tech, Clemson held them 124 yards below their season average running the football. 124 yards. That means you did a pretty doggone good job stopping the run against Georgia Tech for the most part. Couldn't stop Haynes King, but you stopped everybody else, right? So, you did a pretty good job. You sucked against Syracuse, and that's the best way to put it. And that'll go into a little bit more. We start talking about the North Carolina game here. But before we do, we've been talking too much negative, and it started with Coach Swinney being negative. So it's all on him.
It's the one time we'll put blame on Coach Swinney tonight.
Especially for being negative. The most positive guy in the world. Anyway, so I wanted to put some positivity into it. And I like Chris here on Facebook says, Clemson is down this year, but make no mistake, every college goes through this. So the prayers are with Dabo and to get this team back on track. Go Tigers. Chris, very good statement. I appreciate you putting that up, and there is some positivity. You need to be a little positive. Everybody always tells me as a fan, I'm a huge Steelers fan, as you know.
Steeler will, everyone.
Steeler will on Twitter, as you know, or excuse me, X. I hate it when my Steelers lose. Nobody's as mad as I am. I need a 10-minute cool down period, just like it's like a coach does or something before I can talk about it. I really don't want to talk about it afterwards though, but I can get normal after 10 minutes. On Monday, I'm even more angry. I don't listen to anything Steelers or nothing. Tuesday, I'm just mad.
It's toned down. It's gone from just rage to
right. Wednesday, I'm a little aggravated, but I'm paying attention. Okay. Thursday, it's time to move on. It's game time. So it's ready to roll.
You literally go through the 5 stages of grief.
I do. Yeah. You get to the acceptance part and then you move on. Well, Clemson fans, it's time to move on. They're 1-3. Dabo said it. I still want you guys to comment, but I want you to comment on the North Carolina game as we get ready to talk about that here for a few minutes. It's time to move on. So we're going to move on too. And we've talked about what's going on with the 1-3 and what Dabo said today and all that. But Dabo also talked about, Ashby, this game against North Carolina. And, before we get to the Bill Belichick part of it, which is, I can have some fun with. I don't know how much you'll allow me to. But Dabo talked about, this is some notes I made when he was talking about them. He thought they're an improving team. He says a lot's changed for them since last year. Obviously, new coaching staff. How many players? My gosh. I think 70. Was that what we heard?
70 plus, yeah.
Yeah. So, both quarterbacks going into this game, they don't know. Clemson doesn't know which one they're going to play. They're thinking they're going to see number 7. They might see Max Johnson also. So they're kind of preparing for both guys, which, by the way, Dabo says is different because they're both two different kind of quarterbacks. One likes to run around and do his thing, and the other's a passer. Makes it hard, right? Number 3, the wide receiver's really good. Dabo likes him. Number 4, the running back's really good. Also, they got another young running back, number 35, they're excited about. They got a big offensive line that can be physical if they want to be. They do a lot of RPOing. So that's the offensive side. On the defensive side, Dabo says they got a big defensive front led by number 8, their big defensive tackle. Guys to get in there and make some havoc. The number 9, the guy on the end, is pretty darn good. At linebacker, they got a guy, number 2, they're really excited about, and they like that guy. And then they got he mentioned one guy in the secondary, which has been their weakness, but he mentioned they do have one guy. So as I say all that, also on defense, they're going to play a lot of 4 down, and they're also going to jump into an Okie. Now, if you know what that means, they're going to jump into an odd defense, and they're going to try to basically make it look like the running back is coming. They're going to let the running back go, and then they're going to shrug and grab and then hang on and allow the game tackling. That's kind of how that works. So with all that said, Ashby, North Carolina, Clemson, the X's and O's here, what are you expecting?
Will, I think you're going to see a lot more trying to run the ball. I really do. I think it's going to be another week of that. You're looking at 2 quarterbacks that have a combined 600 passing yards. Both of them are in the low 60s in completion percentage. I think what he said about this is an improving team and a team that is trying to find an identity and mesh is very true. There's a lot of talent on this team, a lot of transfers. I think a lot of guys that wanted to come play at North Carolina for Bill Belichick. Can you blame them? That's a crazy combo of things right there. But on the defensive side of the ball, they only have 4 sacks all season. I don't see – this should be a get-right opportunity for the offensive line in a lot of ways, because I think this is a unit that, unlike Clemson's offensive line, is still learning to work together, is a little bit young, and I think it should give Cade Klubnik a little bit of time. So I would hope to see that. But, if Clemson's secondary plays how it should, I think that they're going to struggle to have big plays on Clemson's defense.
Yeah, and as you said, if.
Lots of ifs,
because we haven't seen it. So it's like, I don't know what to expect from this Clemson team, and we'll start on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, North Carolina's not good on offense. They've scored 23 total points in the 2 Power 4 opponents they've played. And those I had some peanut butter before we started. Yes, it was good. 2 Power 4 opponents, they scored a total of 23 points. And those Power 4 opponents were TCU, good ranked team, was ranked up until they got upset this week at Arizona State. And then, but they got beat 44-14 or 45-14, excuse me. And then they got beat by Central Florida, who's not a great team. They're an average team right now in the Power 4 and the Big 12. They beat North Carolina 34-9. So, they're not a very good team.
No.
Now, the question is, they're not a good team because I just don't think they got the players they need to be good. Clemson's not a good team, and Clemson isn't a good team right now. They're 1-3. You're not a good team when you're 1-3. You're just what you are. You're a bad team right now. And Clemson is 1-3 for a different reason. And that's the reason that concerns me the most. It concerns me way more than North Carolina, because I think North Carolina players are going to get effort. They're going to say, that's Clemson over there. That's Dabo Swinney over there. We can go beat Clemson, who is still Clemson. And by the way, we probably can beat them because they're not that good this year.
And you're a home underdog. Lots of reason to have juice if you're North Carolina for this game.
Exactly.
Also your ACC opener.
Yeah, it's your ACC opener. And so you can get off to a good start in a conference where all that other stuff doesn't matter. So, that's what they're thinking going into this game. So Clemson, yes, is more talented. Clemson has the better players.
Clemson has been more talented than
everybody but LSU they played.
Yes, absolutely.
And look how that's gone.
It's not really even close, to be honest with you, on paper.
Exactly. So with all that said, do I think Clemson should go up there and dominate on defense? Absolutely. I do. Will they? I don't know.
To take a positive spin on it,
okay,
right?
Let's do that because we've been negative a lot.
We're going to take a positive spin. I got inspired by the comment a few minutes ago, and I really appreciated that. I did. If there's a week to do it for the rest of the season, to get momentum, I think it's this week. And I think you do have leadership on this team and veterans on this team that they don't want to go out the way that it started so far. You know, you're telling me that some of these guys that are supposed to be first rounders in the NFL draft or, you know, are fifth year seniors that have been there forever, they don't want that to be their legacy. I don't think that effort is going to be an issue against North Carolina. I would be really shocked if after 2 weeks, you're your most healthy that you've been all season. I think this might be the kind of game where you see a TJ Parker, a Peter Woods take over a game. If there was one, it was going to be this game because I think this is the first game in a little bit that they can overpower them physically, just completely. And you'd love to see that. You really would. And I think that, you know what? I'm going to say it. I think you see that this weekend.
There you go. I like it because I want to see TJ Parker.
Yes.
Can he show up, please? 3 tackles for a loss on the season. We need more from TJ Parker than that. This guy was in the top 5 in the country in tackles for loss last year. He was in the top 10 in the country in sacks last year. Where is he right now? He's a no-show. I mean, he really is. And it's not because teams are scheming him up and stuff. It's because he hadn't played well or he hadn't come with maximum effort. A lot of it is TJ Parker's fault, right? You know, Peter Woods overall has played pretty good.
For sure.
You know, you look at his 22 tackles. You know, he's got a bunch of tackles for loss. He's done pretty good. He just hadn't made that splash play, though. That game-changing play where he crashes through and causes a fumble on the running back or hits the quarterback for like a 9-yard loss and just really kills a drive. We haven't seen that yet from Peter Woods.
You know who we have seen that from?
Who?
Will Hilt.
Yes, we have.
Oh, my goodness. What a
addition
opportunity for him this weekend as well.
Yeah.
That's a guy that's already rolling. We're talking about guys that need to get rolling. Talk about guys that have already come in and exceeded expectations. Guys like Will Hilt and Ronan Hannafin come to mind in that for me.
Jaheim Lawson.
Lawson. Oh, my goodness. The improvement he's had has been drastic just in every way. I was talking about that maybe with you earlier.
Yep, you were.
While we're talking about an absence of these guys you expected to see just dominate from day one, you have seen guys that haven't struggled to tackle, haven't struggled to give effort, and you got to expect them to do the same throughout the rest of the season if you want to get some wins.
Absolutely. So I want to see also my linebackers, not my linebackers, but you know what I mean. If I'm a Clemson coach, my linebackers, I want to see them not overshoot the gaps. Oh my gosh, how many times you guys keep doing it? And that's why I said earlier, like Sammy Brown, like he needs to just be Sammy Brown.
Yes.
And do his job and not try to be Superman. I love that Sammy Brown wants to be Superman. I love that. But he can't be. He needs to not overshoot the gaps. He needs to be able to, play within himself and make the plays that are presented to him. Not try to be Superman and go do something that's out of his job. And then all he does is he causes more problems and leaves a gap wide open. And the guy's going 34 yards down the sideline. Wade Woodaz the same way. Just do your job. And I think the main problem with the defense, Ashby, is that they're just not doing their job. They're all trying to be Superman instead of just doing their job. And if they just do their job, I think everything else takes care of itself.
I think overall, Coach Allen's defense is pretty simple in nature.
It is.
And I think they're maybe not used to that. And so they're always thinking, it's when you watch it on TV, like going back and watching these games, it looks like this a lot of the time of the defense. It's like, just get to where you need to be. Do the next right thing. Don't be thinking far ahead. Trust your other guys to do what they need to do and just go do what's right in front of you. Be in the right gap. Wrap up. Make the tackle. Don't be chasing somebody. Get ahead of them. Basic stuff like that. Feels like on the defensive side of the ball, if little things were fixed, totally different ball game. I certainly don't think you're down 10-0 to Syracuse.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And they can't do that this week. They can't give North Carolina any momentum and have North Carolina believing they can win this game. They got to take that away early. And I know, and we'll get into that later when we do our picks, but that's one thing they got to do. Okay, let's switch over to offense.
Okay.
All right, because we got some people asking some offensive questions, and we'll throw that up here in a second. All right, I just talked about what North Carolina is on defense. They're going to play a lot of 4 down and they're going to play some OE. Okay. They're not very good on defense, Ashby. They're not. I watched them. You've watched them. They're not very good on defense. If there's a game to have a get-fixed game for your offense to get some confidence, this is the game. Now, I thought Syracuse was the game because they're not very good on defense either, as we saw at Duke this past week. But Clemson didn't finish drives.
Right.
And I think the key to this game is this is what I want. Win the toss, Dabo Swinney, and don't kick it off. Take the ball, put your offense on the field, and go down and score and get them some confidence early on.
Oh,
and then put your foot on the throat and don't stop. I mean, if you can score 50 points in this game, do it. Now, I'm not saying they're going to. I'm saying, but if you can, don't stop because your offense needs that confidence. It needs it.
How fun would it be to just see like a good long 6-minute drive to start the game? Clemson just go down and score a touchdown. Just move the ball down the field. How much have we seen that on the Tigers' first offensive possession this season?
Oh, it'd be 0.
0 times, right?
0, yeah.
And so a lot of it, I think, has been you feel like you're climbing uphill a whole game. And whatever you can do to not be in that situation, that's perfect. But you can't go 3 and out on the first possession and then go down and give up a touchdown. You can't. You can't put yourself in that kind of situation because then you're going to have deja vu of thinking, here we are again. Be calm. Go in there. Get you a score to start the game. Run up the score. Do not take your foot off the gas. I agree with you. I think that is going to be crucial to build confidence.
Absolutely. I pull this comment up here. Let me see. I get it. Apologize. Alexander on YouTube. Let me see. He says, smash mouth football is what this team needs. Run the ball 40 times per game and blitz like crazy on D. Let the chips fall where they may. 100% agree, Alexander. I want to see the same thing. I want to see do what you've been doing to this point with Adam Randall. Okay, yes. I still want to see that. I want to see Cade Klubnik involved more in the running game. I want to see that. And I want to see this guy named by Gideon Davison. I want to see him more. I want to see him get at least 7 to 8 carries.
Oh, yeah.
And because I think the more you give him the ball, because I think he's going to break one. And I think listen, all we heard about was how good he was in camp. I'm like, okay. Then I watched the Florida State game the other night, Ashby, and they're playing their freshman. Number 32, he's out there in crucial moments late in the game. He's getting the ball, and he did well. They didn't worry about pass pro with him. They didn't worry about this. No, they just said, you go out there and run the ball, young man, because you're so talented. We want you to run the ball and run people over. That's what they knew with Gideon Davison. Just give him the ball and let him run the rock, because you give it to him enough, guess what's going to happen? He's going to break one.
You've seen that with Adam Randall so far this season. Yep. When you give it to him, he's going to break one. I'm in favor of getting Adam Randall more carries, less snaps, and getting Gideon Davison in the game to get opportunities. Because when Adam Randall's been given the ball, he's been really good, but he can't play 80 snaps per game as a guy that's just started to be a running back a few months ago, right? Mm-hmm. Get that young guy experience, get him carries, because I think you want him to be a Tiger long term, because you talked about how talented and amazing he is. Go watch his highlight tape. It's,
it's amazing.
Amazing. Yeah. And to do that, you got to develop guys. And you talk about development. This is how you do it. Get him in the game, give him opportunities. Pass pro, I think, really is not your biggest issue right now. I really don't think so. You got to have a guy that you trust in there. And the way you trust him, give him opportunities.
And Ashby, you know why you get him involved a little bit more? You know why more than anything?
Why?
Because you want him to be your running back next year. And you want him to be your running back next year because he almost went to another school that's in Indiana that wears a gold helmet. And they would love to have Gideon Davison in their backfield. And you got to make sure that young man's happy and that he wants to come and stay at Clemson and run the football next year, because he's your best shot to have a really good running game next year. And you got to make him happy. And so I don't care what you do, Garrett Riley. Like, why are you going to not play him for the other guy? You're going to save his red shirt for the other guy, basically, is what you're almost doing. You got to play that young man. Get him on the field. Give him He's not asking for 20 snaps. And Dabo, I know you said, well, we got to get the ball more. And Dabo's right to a certain extent. But you know what? If you're giving Adam Randall 20 carries, you can knock that down to 15 carries and give 5 over to Gideon Davison. And I know, oh, yeah, he's a freshman. I don't care anymore. You're 1-3. He's your future. You need to get him the ball.
Yeah. You're at a place now where I think a lot of your decisions that you're making need to be looking towards the future in a lot of ways. And that's a way that still gives you chances and opportunities to win, because I think he is a really good player. I think he needs the opportunity to grow into that at the collegiate level. You can't just do that for Wednesday scrimmages. You can't. The way you do that is by getting carries in the game. I like that you use the example with FSU. Like, the idea of a true freshman playing is not something that's foreign. Like, come on.
Exactly.
Come on. That's not like that's not a heard of thing, right? An unheard
Exactly.
of thing. There are true freshmen playing all across the country. And it's one thing if you have, like, I don't know, a few running backs in front of him that you think are, NFL caliber or veteran guys. No, he has an opportunity to go in and get meaningful snaps this year. I think you give it to him. I would be shocked if he didn't get more opportunities against UNC. I think you will.
Yeah, what you got to do is you got to treat him like they did Travis Etienne.
Yes.
In 2017 when he was a true freshman. And they got him in the Louisville game, if you remember, and they ran a pitch wide play. Basically that play that you saw where Cade should have thrown the ball at Adam Randall, and Adam Randall probably scores on that 4th and 1. Remember, Cade kept it when he should have pitched it outside. That play, though, you run with Gideon Davison.
Sure.
And it's going to go because every time Gideon Davison's run the ball, Ashby, what has he done? They've had him run him in between the tackles. That's good when you're the starter and you're gonna do different things. But when you're like a guy who's coming in for 6-7 plays, put him at his strength. Well, his strength is open field, making guys miss and then going. Right. So that's what Clemson did the first time with Travis Etienne. By the way, who was the offensive coordinator calling that play with Travis Etienne? It'd be Tony Elliott. What did we see Tony Elliott doing the other day against Florida State? Who's running that running back that he got out of the transfer portal? You know what I'm saying? And running those kind of plays. Like, that's what you got to do. Yeah. That's what I want to see Clemson do in this game. Do I want to see Cade Klubnik throw the ball for 250 yards and 4 touchdowns? Yeah, that'd be great. But you know what's going to help Cade Klubnik throw the ball for 250 yards and 4 touchdowns? Is a running game. Absolutely. When the teams have to respect the run, that's when Clemson's at its best. And I think you got to start with the run. And please, could we run? You saw Dabo do it, and I think Dabo was calling the plays there to start the second half, 4 straight runs to Adam Randall to start the second half.
I mean, gotta be, right?
And the only reason they didn't go to a 5th is because Adam had to tap out for a second to get his breath. And then when he came back, they wouldn't run the ball anymore. It's like, what are we doing? It's like, you get in the red zone. It's like, oh, let's pass it. Garrett, that is on you, okay? Give the rock to number 8 and then get number 9 in the game a little bit more. That's all we're asking.
8.3 yards a carry.
Absolutely. Give him the rock. Why on 4th and 1, Ashby, are you passing the ball? You got Adam Randall, who they can't stop. He's averaging 8.9 yards per carry in that game, literally. And they can't stop him, and you don't run the ball? What? Am I overthinking? Offensive coordinators overthink things too much.
I think that's what it is. I think you're trying to think 3 steps
they're going to be
ahead
ready for the run.
You need to be thinking 1 or 2 steps ahead. Like,
right.
Come on.
Yeah, they're like, oh, it's 4th and 1. They're going to be ready for the run.
You can't be afraid to do what's working. Even if you feel like, ooh, we should be doing this, you can't be afraid to just stick to what's going well. If you're thinking, ooh, we need to get the pass game going, we need to be playing tempo and all this stuff. If the run is what's working, even if you're down in the first quarter, you have to trust that is going to get you where you need to be more than anything else at that point.
Hold on a second here. Let's see. Desperate Man. I said it. Oh, it's this one right here. Why are you and your colleagues keep insisting that this team has talent and it's not on the players? We lost 4 games last year and haven't beaten a good team in 2 or 3 years. Lost 4 or 5 at home. Okay, first of all, Desperate Man, let me get to you. Appreciate you responding there on YouTube. Second of all, you're wrong, dude. You forgot about they beat a number 8 team in SMU in the ACC championship game? It's convenient how people forget that. That was a great SMU team. That was an SMU team that had won 10 straight games going into that. We're 11-1. Okay? That's a good win. It counts. I know you guys don't want to give SMU credit, but guess what? SMU ain't going nowhere. SMU is building a giant out there. They finally got in a big-time conference. They said, we don't even need your money, ACC, for 5 years. We'll just invest ourselves. We're fine. That tells you how much money SMU has. Yes.
Watch out when a team's saying that. Hey, conference, we don't need your money.
Yeah, and then so that's why that's a good win, guys. That was a good SMU football team last year. I know they're struggling right now, but to say Clemson didn't get any good wins last year, that's wrong. They did. And then, the Pitt win is a better win, you guys think, too, because, my gosh, it was a mash unit playing for Clemson that day. They didn't have, two of their linebackers weren't playing. Remember? They had 2 of the 3 linebackers weren't playing.
Yes.
Barrett Carter was playing with basically broken ribs. On the offensive side, you had 3 starters out on the offensive line. You had a running back who really shouldn't have been playing because he was done at that point. His shoulder was just tore up. There's nothing he could do. His knee was aching. There's nothing he could do. I mean, he was done for the year at that point. He's only out there just to hope there's a decoy, right? So you had no running game. You had a defense that was beat up, an offensive line that was beat up, and you still won the game and really controlled it until late in the game, and you allowed them to come back. But why? Because of what I just said before. So, that to me, that was a good win. You went on the road and won a conference game with a beat up mash unit football team.
And
okay?
you know who went in and took over that game and won it?
That'd be Kate Klubnik. Yes. And then, by the way, Virginia Tech, that was a good win. That was a Virginia Tech team that had a 5-game winning streak at that point. Everybody, they were either ranked or about to be ranked. Everybody was talking about how hot Virginia Tech was going into that week, and was Clemson going to be able to beat them? Clemson beat them 24-3. That was a good win. So I'm tired of that crap when people come on here and say, oh, they got a good win for 2 or 3 years or blah, blah, blah. I understand you want to beat Ohio State. I understand you want to beat Texas and you want to beat Georgia and LSU, and you're right. That's what you want to win. I agree. But you got other good wins too. Those are called great wins. That's when you're winning playoff games and national championships. That's what you're talking about as great wins. Yes, they haven't had great wins. They've had good wins. 2 different things. That's why they were called a good football team last year, not a great football team. 10-4 is a good football team. You go try to win 10 games. See how hard that is. That's not easy. They won 10 games last year. They were 10-4. I'm tired of that mess. Tired of people coming in and talking about that, how they ain't got no good wins in so many years, and just disrespecting what SMU did and all that stuff. Like, come on, man. Come on. Give the team credit. They won an ACC championship in a game that nobody thought they were going to win. Okay? Nobody gave them a prayer to win that game. Nobody. I'm sorry. You didn't. No Clemson fan did. The media wasn't. So don't be coming out here saying, oh, they ain't got a good win. Because that was a good win. You know why? Because you didn't think they were going to win it. And they won it. And they got in the college football playoff. Give them credit. Stop with that mess. I'm done. Ashby, go ahead.
Soapbox? Will.
Yeah. I'm off. I'm off.
I agree with you, though, Will. Like, anytime you make it to the college football playoff and you win an ACC championship, I think it's hard to say that you did that without any good wins. I get that the loss to Georgia to open the season was brutal. You look at that team in August versus the team that beat SMU, completely different, which is, I think, what gives hope for this Clemson team, that there's still 8 games left to play, right? Media have been writing things. People have been saying the season's over for weeks now. There's 8 games to play.
Will's been crushing them.
Will's been crushing them. You know what? It's not just Will in any way, shape, or form. There's 8 games to play, and you can still have that kind of opportunity, and there's still a chance to get those good, maybe even great wins later down the line.
Absolutely. All right, so we have to bring this. We have to go. Bill Belichick, okay. Ashby, I wrote a column this morning.
Tell me more.
And I wrote it. It was about Bill Belichick and Dabo Swinney and how the luster of this game has been. This game was, everybody thought was going to be game day. They thought Clemson would come in possibly at worst 3-1 with maybe a tight loss to LSU. The tight loss to LSU happened, but maybe at worst 3-1 and still nationally ranked, and everybody singing the praises of Clemson, right? And then North Carolina would go 4-0 and they'd be undefeated, and Bill Belichick's there, and there's just baby blue everywhere, and it was going to be a primetime game, and they would have the special concert at 6:45 or whatever they were going to do in the nighttime. Who's doing the concert, Ashby?
I can't remember, but can't you? I think it's literally like Lil Wayne is performing at 9 a.m.
Yeah, it's something like that. And they were supposed to not be performing that early. They're supposed to be performing way later in the day. And so, like, all of a sudden, Clemson goes 1-3. They're not having to start it. They're like, Kate Klubnik's sucking. The defense stinks. You know, the offensive line they don't know who to block. And they're 1-3. And everybody's like, what happened to Clemson? And then, you know, we got the whole Belichick thing. And it's not only are they off to a hum start where they're 2-2, but their 2 wins came against Richmond, who's an FCS team. And then their other win came in a team in a group of 5 team, and not very good one at that. And so Charlotte, that's who it was, 20-3 against Charlotte. So their 2 losses, as I said earlier, were to Power 4 opponents, and they were outscored 79-23 in those 2 games. Then there's the whole Belichick saga, you know, and everybody knows what I'm talking about. You know, his, I don't know, I guess girlfriend, I don't know, granddaughter, I don't know, coming on the sidelines and asking for money or something before the game. Ashby, come on. This is why this game, people, this is why it's on noon. This is why it's a noon kickoff. All right. This is one of the reasons why it's a noon kickoff, because, you know, it was like, what the world's going on? Like, this is crazy.
I think it's taken away, that whole thing has taken so much media attention that it's taken away from the legitimacy of, oh my gosh, Bill Belichick is coaching college football.
Absolutely. Thank you.
What in the world, you know? Like,
Yeah.
That's a big deal. And that's a big story in and of itself that I think has been kind of tainted by this idea of, you know, we're copywriting every word that has to deal with Tar Heel or Bill Belichick or Patriots or anything that there is. Like, all of the fact that that's happening, I think has completely overshadowed the fact that this is Dabo Swinney versus Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
What in the world?
Yeah. And then we're not even talking about it hardly.
No.
You know, and that's what I hate is that, and I'll look, first of all, Bill Belichick's personal life is his business. And I have no problem saying, hey, that's your business, man. I don't really care what you do off the field. I don't. It's his own personal life, his own person. But when you allow that person to continuously make a spectacle of you and your program, then it is on you, because you can control it and just say, hey, Jordan, could you just kind of go off to the side a little bit? Can you just get out of the way? I'm trying to coach this football team and get this football program going. I don't need you to be the sideshow Bob of this football program. But that's what it is. It's like the first game, they kept showing her up in the press box. How is she reacting? And what was she doing with you know, who was it that was up there? Randy Moss was there, and Lawrence Taylor. And, you know, what was she doing? You know, who cares? I didn't even know who she was until she started dating Bill Belichick. It needs to go back to that. And that's the problem. And I hate that it's tarnished Bill Belichick. Listen, I hate the New England Patriots. Okay? I'm a Steelers fan. The Patriots cost us The Patriots cost us 3 more Super Bowl titles, okay? They beat us 3 times in the AFC Championship game, and then Tom Brady beat us like almost every time in the regular season. I hate the New England Patriots with the passion. All right? But I respect Bill Belichick as a football coach.
Absolutely.
He's one of the best defensive football minds that we've ever seen. And he'll have some stuff for Clemson today, especially with the quarterback who's confused. Oh, my gosh. I hate to be Kate Klubnik this week, because I'm telling you, Bill Belichick's going to have a whole week to prepare for him. He's going to have plans for him, okay? He's such a good football coach. And this has tarnished that. And I hate that. I really do. And I wish he would just take his personal life and get it under control. And that's on him. I'm sorry. That's on him. He should have known, I got to make sure this isn't a spectacle, because that's what it's turned into.
Because at the end of the day, you're coaching college kids that this is their whole life. You know, you already have an incredible legacy you've left behind and coaching for so many years. These kids are just trying to start theirs, you know? And similarly, like you saying that Patriot scouts can't come watch your kids play, like you've got to get all your personal beef, relationship, whatever's going on, and compartmentalize it. Because in order to be in charge of a successful ACC program, even though it's different than the pros, you still got to be all in there, you know? And I think this is felt to a degree like more of a media story than actually, no, I am passionate about coaching these college kids that I've brought in. And so, you know, this is what the greatest X's and O's guys that there's been, maybe ever. I'd love to see some of that energy brought into this UNC season and his tenure in North Carolina.
But we hope it waits one more week. So Jordan Hudson become a distraction. You know,
wear another pair of fabulous boots.
Ashby said earlier today, she says, at least I liked her boots, though. Her boots were
really
nice.
Cute, okay?
Anyway.
Time and place for them.
Time and place, exactly. Hey, real fast, I want to give what is it? P Digits a shout out here. He says, Pats fan, guess the Steelers weren't the better team on those days. You were correct, buddy. So I have no problem giving that over to you. You were correct. Like I said, cost us 3 more Super Bowls. Bill Belichick was part of the reason they were a better team than Pittsburgh in those 3 games. And so it is what it is. I own it. I own it. But anyway, all right, Ashby, we're going to get over to our Pick 6 segment to close this down. Clemson will be a part of these Pick 6. We'll do that later. So I got the games. You don't know what I'm throwing at you.
I know, I'm kind of nervous.
This is Ashby's knowledge. By the way, for those guys who follow us each and every week, I went 4-2 last week in my picks. Alex also went 4-2. That brings my record to 17-13 on the season. Alex is now 15-15. So welcome to 500 land, Alex. Glad to see you here finally, buddy. I've been on a heater the last 3 weeks. I'm 13-5. Yeah, I'm 13-5 the last 3 weeks. So, you know, Alex sprung some early on in the season. He sprung some on me, and I was like, hold on, and I fell off the tree. And so I said, I got to come prepared from now on. I can't just be like, you know, looking bad. I got my reputation to uphold here, you know.
And so you've been 13-5. That's
13-5 since then.
That's some good work.
Yeah, so he's not fooling me anymore. He's not, but I'm gonna fool you tonight. Let's see if I can
this
catch
isn't
you.
fair. I can't prepare.
And by the way, guys, we will let you know what Ashby did next week, so you'll know what her
6-0.
And by the way, Alex's Pick 6 will be on Twitter. He'll put that up on Thursday. He said that way it'll be out there, so it'll be on record of what he actually did this week as well. But he's got these same six games that we're picking. So
all
Ashby, right. You cannot just beat me, but you can beat Alex too.
Extra incentive.
Just
there
kidding.
You go. I wouldn't want to beat Alex. I would just want to beat you.
Oh, come on. Why does everybody always take out the teacher? I always want to take out the teacher. I don't understand it. You know, we care about you guys, and we want you guys to go at your best, and all y'all ever want to do is take us out.
Alex has never made fun of me. That's all I'm saying.
Well, if you think I've made fun of you, you don't know what I've done to Alex. Oh, man.
Love you, Alex.
Same here. All right, guys, here we go. Ashby, are you ready? Kentucky at Georgia. Georgia is a 20.5-point favorite. Now, keep in mind, the Bulldogs are coming off a very disappointing loss. But Kentucky is too. They thought they had a chance to beat South Carolina. Took the opening drive, went down and scored. They're up 7-0. Then they responded to South Carolina after that, took a 10-7 lead. And then guess what happened after that? 31 answer points by the Chickens. So Kentucky comes in after a 38-10 loss to South Carolina. And now they go to Georgia, who saw their 33-game win streak in, by the way, which means, what does that mean, Ashby? Because if Georgia would have won that game, that win streak would have continued, and they could have possibly passed Clemson's 40-game win streak. Not this year, but next year, possibly. But that's not going to happen now.
Back to square one.
So guess what, Georgia? You may beat Clemson in everything, but you didn't beat them in this. Since 1994, no team has won more consecutive home games than the Clemson Tigers. That 40-game home winning streak is the longest in college football since then. So,
and it will be for at least 40 more games.
for at least 40 more, whoever has the next streak.
Or yeah, whoever.
Yeah, I don't know who that is because I think BYU had one. They lost. So
I don't think anybody's anywhere close right now.
No, I don't think they are either. So,
No. All right, Will. I'm taking the Dogs to cover.
So you think Georgia bounces back and
Yes.
takes care of business against the Wildcats?
Absolutely. You talk about that home record right there. This is a team that lost a very disappointing game to an Alabama team that I don't think anybody, or at least I didn't expect to beat them. And you're going to bounce back from that. I think that Kentucky might be a punching bag, which is why I think they are favored by 20 points. I'm taking Georgia to cover that. And obviously with that, the Dogs to win and start a new winning streak.
So you're taking Georgia minus the 20.5.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Ashby, I agree with you that Georgia will bounce back.
Okay.
I agree with you. Georgia will win this game.
However, is there a but?
But
There it is.
Georgia struggled against Kentucky last year and should have lost the game. Now, that was at Kentucky, but still should have lost the game. Kentucky has it in the back of their mind. They feel like they can play with Georgia. They're not as good as Georgia. They're not going to beat Georgia. But I think 20.5 is too big. I would have been more comfortable with this spread at 17 or something like that. 20.5 is too big for me. I could be wrong. I probably will be wrong. But I'm going to go with Kentucky to cover the 20.5. So I'm going to go Kentucky plus 20.5 here. So that's where I'm going with this pick.
Gotcha.
All right. So we'll move to that game next. Going in the ACC. This is a big game for Clemson in the sense of who they play the next week. You got Boston College is a 6.5-point underdog at Pitt.
Ooh, man. That's a tricky one. I think I feel better about Pitt than I feel about Boston College at this point in time. So I think that Pitt's going to win, and you said it's 6.5.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I think I'm taking Pitt to win by at least 6.5. I really am. You're
Yeah.
at home. I think they're the better team. I don't think Boston College is a great team this year. Yeah, I think it's probably going to be a tough place to play there. Taking Pitt.
That number 6.5 is one of those numbers that Vegas likes to put out just to get you to think, because what you're saying is Boston College is going to keep it at 6 points.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to happen. And obviously there is no half. So that means Pitt, they're thinking that 7 is the number, right? That's the tricky number.
Over under 7.
I like a home team who's getting 6.5 at home against a team right now who lost a heartbreaker to Cal last week, a game that they were in position to win at the end, and they threw an interception down the end zone. Pitt blew a 17-point lead at home to Louisville. Pat Narduzzi, why are you going for 4th and short and you're up 7 in the fourth quarter at midfield? I don't know. You punt the ball away. Louisville hasn't run the football to save their life. I'm with you. I think Pitt, because of their defense, Boston College is not going to be able to run the football. They're going to be one-dimensional. Their quarterback, he's a statue for the most part. It's a pro-style offense. Pat Narduzzi's going to kill it. He's going to blitz it like crazy. He's going to press man on the outside. Yeah, I think Pitt covers that 7 points. That 6.5 there that's Vegas trying to trade tricks with you. I'm going with Pitt as well. So we're both going to pick Pitt minus the 6.5. All right. This is a good one. This is a game I'm kind of looking forward to. If you would have asked me this 10 years ago, if I'd ever looked forward to this game, you would have said, what the hell's wrong with you?
Wait, now I'm interested.
Number 16, Vandy, is a 10.5-point underdog at number 10, Alabama. Ashby, we got number 16, Vandy, at number 10
Just
Alabama.
that. Just number 16 Vandy. Like
5-0
in and of itself.
Vandy. 5-0 for second year in a row. They're 5-0.
What is going on in Nashville, ladies and gentlemen?
I don't know. You tell me what. What do you got here? Vandy plus 10.5 or Alabama minus a 10.5?
It's at Alabama. They got momentum. They're rolling. They
want
feel good
revenge.
about their quarterback. They feel good about their offense. And listen, I don't think Vandy's played anybody that you're going to have to correct me if I'm wrong. Remind me who they played so far in the SEC.
They beat South Carolina.
Yeah.
That was a good win on the road.
For sure.
Let me see. Let me look. I'll give you the. So I don't want to say wrong. Give me
Sorry
2
to
seconds.
put you on the spot here.
No, it's not that bad. I can pull it up real fast. All right, so here we go. All right, so their wins so far are Charleston Southern. They beat 45-3. They came back and scored 44 unanswered points to beat Virginia Tech 44-20. Yeah, Virginia Tech led 20-0 that game. They beat South Carolina 31-7. And then they beat Georgia State 70-21. And then last week they beat Utah State 55-38. It's a very offensive team.
I think Alabama wins this game. And you said they're favored by 10.5?
Favored by 10.5. That's the spread.
Then I think Alabama wins by like probably 2 touchdowns. I'm not even going to lie to you. Okay. I really do. I think they have momentum. I think Vanderbilt is a little bit overrated, and I think they were last year too.
So you're going to take Alabama minus a 10.5. That's what you're telling me.
Yes, and I feel bad for not going against any of these predictions, but that's where my head's at, Will.
No, you're fine. I like it because I'm with you. I think Alabama's pissed off from what happened last year.
Yeah,
tearing the goalpost down, taking it down Nashville and throwing it in the water. I mean, they saw all that stuff. They were embarrassed. Everybody told them how they sucked. You know, they were the first Alabama team in 45 years to lose to Vandy. I mean, all that's going on. And I remember, that stuff resonates with you. The first time Virginia beat Clemson in 1980, in 1990, it was a similar kind of reaction. But Virginia was ranked that time. Or the next year they came back to Clemson. They actually tied them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 20-20. Clemson, the late Wayne Simmons jumped up and blocked the field goal attempt as time expired to save the tie for Clemson. But I don't think that's going to happen here. I don't think that's, going to happen. I think Alabama, where they have a little bit of a letdown, if they were playing anybody else, they would. But Vandy has a number 16 beside their name. They beat Alabama last year. They're 5-0. They're going to Tuscaloosa. I don't think Alabama has a letdown. Not today. Not
I don't
this
think
game.
so either.
I'm going with you. I dropped my pen. Sorry. Sorry. There we go. Live television or podcast, whatever. I'm with you. Give me Alabama minus the 10.5.
There you go.
All right. This is a good one. I want to see what you're going to do on this one. And I'm surprised the line is so low.
Okay.
Especially when I tell you the Clemson line here in a little bit, to hear this line be this low, it's going to surprise you. Number 9 Texas is getting 6.5 at Florida.
The Florida team that threw 5 interceptions?
The Florida team that threw
last
5
week?
Interceptions. Yes. At Florida
See,
team.
I'm going to say this. It's at Florida. I understand that, but you're not telling me that that's enough to make it that close of a game. Absolutely not. Texas.
By the way, I'm sorry. These picks are presented by FanDuel. You can go on FanDuel and get the latest line. And on that, I forgot to do that earlier. My bad. Ashby, continue.
Thank you, FanDuel, and thank you, Texas, for helping me get to a good record this weekend.
Texas minus 6.5. At
Texas minus 6.5.
You're taking it, huh? Okay.
I'm taking it.
All right. I'm with you on that. I am with you on that because Florida, they're a turnover machine. I don't see any
inconsistent.
inconsistent. I don't see any, they're like Clemson on offense. There's no identity of who they are. And you just wonder what's left. And I hate it for Billy Napier because Billy Napier is one of my favorite coaches. When he coached up here at Clemson, really enjoyed getting to know him and talking to him. And I wanted him to succeed so bad at Florida. But right now it's not going that way for him. And, so sometimes the good guys don't win. And, and in this instance, that's going to be the case on Saturday night, right? Not that Stark is not a good guy, because he is, but you know what I mean. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to go ahead and take Texas. I think Texas is just so talented. They got so many great players on that team. And yeah, their quarterback play is not very good right now, but it doesn't need to be. No. That's what I keep telling everybody. Remember I told you that in the beginning of the season? That's like, Texas doesn't need Arch Manning to be like his uncles, his famous uncles. He just needs to go out there and manage the game, and this team will get them in the playoffs. They'll win the SEC, and they'll do what they need to do. So yeah, give me Texas to cover on that. I'm with you on the 6.5. So we both got Texas.
I agree with you. That is surprising to me that it's that low.
That is, right? I just couldn't believe it when I saw it. Here's a game I'm looking forward to.
Okay.
All right. The Fighting Tony Elliots, number 24 ranked in the country, are at Louisville. Virginia is getting 6.5 in this game. So Virginia is a 6.5-point underdog in this game. I'm stunned by that. Louisville is 5-0. Virginia is 4-1. It should be 5-0. Just for a stupid pass there in the end zone against NC State. I still can't believe Chandler threw that ball. But he's a gunslinger, so he does things like that. It's going to happen.
Happens to the best of us.
Exactly. But Louisville getting 6.5 is, I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's a good Louisville team. I do. And I think
I do too, but
I think they're at home. I think, Virginia's coming off of a huge win, but
you're playing undefeated Louisville on the road. You're not going to have a letdown.
I think they have issues still. Virginia does. And I'm taking Louisville to win that game. I really am. I think you might have a little bit of a letdown. You might have a letdown on the road after a huge emotional win. Absolutely, you could.
Okay, but the question is the 6.5.
So
I don't disagree that Louisville's going to win, but are they going to cover?
No.
Okay, so you think so. Okay, so you're going to say Louisville wins, but Virginia covers the spread. So you're going to go with Virginia in the 6.5.
Yes.
Okay. I am with you on that because Louisville gets off to such slow starts. Virginia gets off to fast starts. And Virginia's offense is really good. Now, their defense needs to come to play. Their defense travel? Right? That's always the thing you hear. I don't think they will. They're not very good defensively. Right? That's their problem. But they got a good offense, so they're going to score on anybody. Louisville showed in that game against Pitt last week that they have some issues on defense as well.
Yes.
So I like Virginia playing with this confidence that they're playing with. Tony Elliott's calling plays like when he's back at Clemson. I mean, that's how good they are. And I'm with you. I think Louisville wins the game ultimately because I think Louisville's just got better players. But I don't think they have the better quarterback.
No.
And, but I still do think they have the better overall roster. I think eventually they come back and they win the game, but I think Virginia gives them a run for their money. By the way, Virginia is undefeated in conference play right now. That's huge. They're 2-0.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah. A lot of people forget that NC State game was a non-conference game. So it didn't count in the standings.
Extra.
Yes.
Interesting.
But we're both
goodness gracious.
Absolutely. So we're both going to take Virginia plus a 6.5.
Yes.
All right. Now that brings us to our next game and our final game. Okay. And it's the one that everybody on here talks to us and comes to us about. And we appreciate you guys joining us, and we'll get you out of here real soon. I know Ashby's ready for me to shut up. All right, Ashby. Clemson is minus 14.5 favorite at North Carolina. Clemson is a 2.5 point favorite, 2 touchdown favorite at North Carolina.
Let me say this. I don't think it would be wise, as your friend to everyone watching, to pick Clemson to cover anything right now, to be honest with you. They're 0-4 against the spread this year. They were favored by 17 against Syracuse and favored by 33 and a half
against Troy.
Against Troy. So, I personally don't have a great track record this season of my picks.
12.5-point favorite against Georgia Tech, I believe.
I don't have a great track record this season of my picks, but what that has taught me, what this adversity has taught me is don't pick Clemson to cover unless they show you they can. I think Clemson wins the game, not by 2 touchdowns.
All right. So you can go ahead if you want to. What's your score in this game? What are you thinking?
I don't think that North Carolina's offense is going to be able to put a lot of points up on Clemson's defense if they play how I think they will. Mm-hmm. So we were talking about this a little bit earlier on the Clemson Insiders page, but I don't think they score more than 2 touchdowns on Clemson. So I'm going to say 14. I think the Tigers, they struggle to score more than 20 points a game. So I'm going to say 24 and be generous.
Okay.
I'm going to say 24-14, and that's my final answer.
24 for a 10-point win. That's a good win. That'd be
a great win.
To me, that'd be a good win for Clemson.
Any win's a good win right now.
Exactly. So you're going to take UNC minus the 14.5, though. And Ashby, I'm 100% with you. I'm 100% with you. Clemson's got to show me they can beat somebody by 14.5 points first before I say they're going to beat somebody by. Why is Vegas? Vegas is just throwing out money when it comes to the Clemson line. It's like, oh, Clemson's a 14.5-point favorite this week. North Carolina. Just
Syracuse.
Because that's preposterous to me. It's just like, how do you keep giving Clemson these double-digit spreads? Have you not even watched them? They're 1-3.
They've been favored in every game.
And they're going to play a team on the road, and they haven't shown anything to show me they can beat somebody by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Let me go see it first before that. I'm with you. I think the Tigers win this game. I'm with you on that. I think it's a low-scoring game, just like you're predicting. I got them, I believe it's 21-13 is kind of where I'm thinking. So, that's what we're going to go with. So with that said, I think it's a win for the Tigers, and that's a positive, and that's what you want. And I hope I'm wrong in the sense of I hope they go up there and score 50 points and win by more than 14.5 points. But I just got to see it to believe it. So I'm with you. I'm going to take North Carolina minus the 14.5 as well. And hopefully we're both wrong on that pick.
We shall see. Time will tell.
Time will tell.
Goodness.
We shall see. Hey, guys, I appreciate you guys. I see some people in here. Patrick Bumgardner on Facebook, 24-17 Clemson. Got some other predictions in there too. Some picking North Carolina to win by about the same score. So appreciate you guys getting in and commenting. We appreciate your comments tonight as always. Appreciate you joining us. Ashby, appreciate you stepping in for Alex and so he can take his wife out, Rachel, out for her birthday.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me, Will. It's been so much fun. I'm honored.
You've been a blast. It's been a blast doing this with you. You're a natural at this stuff. All right. For Ashby Mixon, I'm Will Vandervort. We'll talk to you next time on Believe in Clemson Football. And oh my goodness, Ashby, I forgot that I'm not with Alex tonight. So gotta love it when you can't get out on time.